You're right, though. It's like if an Olsen twin were Annabelle.
There's always some news that breaks right after we finish recording.
Yes.
Literally without fail. Every Tuesday, every Friday, something important happens. And so right after you and I met and chatted on Tuesday, we got the sad news that Angela Lansbury had died at age 96. An incredible career, incredible versatility. Those of you who only know her from Murder, She Wrote, you are in for a treat.
Oh,
Go back and scour the Angela Lansbury catalog.
For sure. Yeah. Dame Angela Lansbury, as Mark Harris noted on Twitter, here's a woman who got her first Oscar nominations before World War II was over, and children know who she is. Like, there's really not a lot of performers in this day and age that have had that amazing kind of longevity and have been popular for so long. But yeah, this is a woman who, started her film career at MGM in the 40s. Got Oscar nominations for like two of her very first movies, Gaslight and The Picture of Dorian Gray. Became a huge Broadway star in the 60s with Mame, Murder, She Wrote, which was this hugely popular series that lasted for a long time. During that show, offered a lot of guest star roles to her sort of fellow Golden Age of Hollywood alums, partially for, the nostalgia factor, but also apparently partially to make sure that they were still getting their SAG benefits. Oh. So, she was super awesome that way. Then, of course, Beauty and the Beast, I think there's a whole generation of people think about her for that. But like, when I posted I wrote an appreciation for the wrap, and I was like, look, if I left out your favorite thing, forgive me, but there's a lot to cover. Like Manchurian Candidate, Something for Everyone, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, just like so much stuff in such a brilliant career, but, she could play all kinds of characters, terrifying and like, but also very sweet. The roles, she apparently very sweet, not so terrifying. So yeah, she was like a real like trooper, and one of the greats.
Yeah, the thing is, if you know her only as, sweet Jessica Fletcher, trolling about Cabot Cove, and then you see her in the Manchurian Candidate, where she is like, absolutely chilling. Yeah. We did the Manchurian Candidate over on our Patreon about a year and a half ago, and it was such a treat to revisit that performance, that whole film, so go check that out. We'll link to that below. But yeah, a huge loss, and what a life, what a career, what a versatile career at age 96. And then today we learned that Robbie Coltrane died at 72. You all know him best as Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies, but he did so much more.
Yeah, his stuff goes all the way back to the 80s and like really interesting 80s stuff. Like he's in Derek Jarman's Caravaggio. He's in Absolute Beginners, a movie that has not aged particularly well, but I think, was a big deal at the time. He's in Mona Lisa with Bob Hoskins. And then, stuff like Nuns on the Run and The Pope Must Diet. But yeah, this sort of venerable British comedy figure. You see him on like Old French and Saunders and Blackadder. And then, I think obviously doing the Harry Potter movies is a nice retirement fund for somebody at that age. It's like a good way to finish things out. Again, like Angela Lansbury, I have a whole new generation of fans. So yeah, no, he was amazing.
And he brought such warmth to that role. He's so crucial to Harry's journey from the absolute beginning. And he was just reliable as a source of warmth and comfort and humor in a series that was increasingly terrifying and just fraught with peril and deeply emotional. You can always rely on Hagrid.
He's kind of a human Muppet in that movie. Like he's so big and hairy and burly, but also lovable and full of kindness and compassion.
For sure. Have you seen the trailer for Megan?
Megan, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
I saw there was a snippet of one that was attached to Halloween Ends when I watched it on Peacock this morning, but I have not seen the whole thing. No, but I've already seen the memes about the face.
I know how much you hate trailers.
Yeah.
But this one is so nutty and was so much fun to watch over and over again. I am pumped for January. Like January cannot come fast enough for me so I can watch Megan. So she looks like a lost Olsen twin. It's so creepy. And she's essentially, for those of you youngins who don't recall the Twilight Zone, this is like the Talkie Tina episode of Twilight Zone, like times 1,000 in terms of how high tech she is and the amount of damage she can cause. But the same kind of idea where this sweet, wholesome thing is actually evil.
Well, you know, that was the whole premise of the Child's Play movies. They were basically like, what if Teddy Ruxpin was a murderer, you know, was a devil doll? So yeah, I just that the face is so kind of creepy and like, I just from the memes, I'm like, okay, this is going to be, you're right though. It's like if an Olsen twin were Annabelle.
It's perfect. So that's coming out in January. We're excited about that. Production has stopped on Blade, the Mahershala Ali Blade, part of the MCU. The director stepped away for scheduling things or whatever. I'm not sure the whole story behind that, but now production in Atlanta has stopped entirely. And Marvel has announced that the release date will now be, it was going to be September. Well, I'm sorry. It was going to be November 2023. Now it's September of 2024.
Well, when your director leaves, yeah, that's kind of what you have to do unless you immediately hire somebody else, which I think it's a promising sign. They're not just like, who can we get? You know, they're actually, I think, going to put some effort into finding the right fit, the right person. You know, I think we had talked before that it's important for a project like this to have a Black director. So yeah, look, I'm never mad at studios taking their time and being precise and not just like running haphazardly slapdash into something. You know what? Will this give the writers more time to fine tune the script? I hope. Like that's what you always kind of hope for. Like if we're not, it's got to be done yesterday, then like, great. Spend some more time on it. I think we saw in a lot of pandemic projects that they really benefited from like having these stoppages and then having more. You'll always need more time to fine tune that script, always.
Right. And also because it is part of the MCU and not just a standalone thing, this causes a snowball effect where other stuff has to get juggled or pushed because they have these things planned for like 5 years out at least. And so.
Right. And they have to come out in this order because we're introducing this character in this movie to then later be the blah, 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 you know, and so like you can't juggle that around too much.
Are you pumped about Sydney Sweeney as Barbarella?
I'll believe it when I see it. They have because they've been promising Barbarella remakes since the days that like Drew Barrymore was going to be in one. Rose McGowan was going to be in one. I've been hearing about Barbarella remakes for most of my adult life. So until the day comes that they say, here's your Barbarella remake, I don't believe it's going to happen.
Well, Sydney Sweeney posted about it on Instagram, which I think makes it official.
Look, I'm sure she thinks it does, and I'm sure it's in development, you know, but like seriously, go do some Googling. They have been promising this for ages. I love Barbarella, but it's not a movie that's so perfect that you can't find something new in it when you remake it. You know, it's like when they remade Ocean's 11. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a cool concept, but no, the first one isn't so great of a heist movie that it's untouchable. You know, don't remake Rififi, but sure, remake Ocean's 11.
But you remake Barbarella. Do you do it with the retroactive knowledge of how the first one was received and do it in a goofy way, or do you do it like seriously and good?
Well, therein lies the question. I mean, I think there's always going to be something inherently campy about it, but it becomes more a thing of like, how do we give Barbarella more agency, you know? Which arguably even Jane Fonda has in certain ways, but there are other ways. I mean, there are a lot of feminist dissections of that movie, but I think it's a lot of fun still. And I think that it is material that you could do something cool with. But again, I'll believe it when I see it.
Indeed. And speaking of things that are in development, there's going to be a new Naked Gun movie with Akiva Schaffer from The Lonely Island directing, and supposedly Liam Neeson is going to step into the iconic Leslie Nielsen role. The names already sound kind of similar. Maybe that's like why they cast him. We've already got a guy who sounds like Leslie Nielsen. Let's just do that.
I kind of love this idea because Leslie Nielsen was sort of the last of the whole joke in Airplane is that nobody had ever seen Leslie Nielsen or Robert Stack or Lloyd Bridge or those guys be funny. They were always very upright, square jawed, cardboard heroes of film and television. And then they were getting goofy. And that's where a lot of the humor came from. And now everybody goes on Kimmel and does something wacky, or they, will play themselves in, you know, the Larry Sanders Show or some context where they get to sort of like be goofy. There aren't a lot of actors who have kind of stayed away from comedy as that much. And shy of getting Daniel Day-Lewis, I think Liam Neeson is about as close as you can get. I mean, not that he's never done comedy, but he has a pretty serious, you know, screen presence.
I love it. Daniel Day-Lewis is Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
You would watch that movie in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure.